but I'm in the ISNA Green Committee that started like 10 years ago, 2015. So it's only like 5 of us, like handling like the whole Muslim in the United States and partly also in Canada. So this is like we have a Green Masjid initiative trying to greening the Masjid in the United States, as well as Green Ramadan campaign. This is going to be the 11 years. So, and I know that Masjid At-Thohir already joined last year. And, thank you so much. Alhamdulillah, it's a big effort because you're competing to other masajid. Like, for example, in Indiana, they're already so green. They have solar panel, everything. But I saw, I think I'm not sure. It's like the 5th, I think like in the 5th rank. So it's good for a newcomer, yeah, for the a newcomer in joining that. So inshallah, every year it's going to improve more, and please take the time as a community, as a jama'ah. Don't be like overwhelmed that I have to do everything. So what I'm going to talk about tonight, it's I was kind of like unsure, like how should I presented, because I don't want to make people overwhelmed and then they're not going to do anything. Or how can we just give a little bit, but then let's try to do it this Ramadan. So inshallah, like little bit, but it's like steady, and then next year we can improve. So inshallah, bismillah. So I put it as the title, like Green Ramadan, as the part of this talk, but it's time for reflection and renewal. So that's like a lot of meanings. Obviously, like spiritually is reflection. It's time for reflection during Ramadan, the sacred month, and also renewal. But also in how we practice, especially during iftar, during Taraweeh in the masjid. So I usually start with this hadith, like inna dunya hulwatun khadiratun wa inna allaha mustakhlifukum fiha. That the earth is sweet and green, and Allah has appointed us as Khalifa. So how many people knows this hadith? Oh, okay, good. Some people know this hadith. It's not really popular, but for us, the environmental activists, Muslim environmental activists, this is like our hadith. Like, we hold to it like, wholeheartedly. And of course, green and sweet. If we see Indonesia, this is the place that has a lot of green, a lot of biodiversities, keanekaragaman hayati, biodiversities. So we have a lot in Indonesia because we have islands, we have oceans, but also we have forests and a lot of like different animals and species. And here it is. So biodiversities in Indonesia, plants and animals, on the land base, we are number 2 in the world after Brazil. But on the ocean, marine biodiversity, we are number 1 because Brazil doesn't have an ocean like Indonesia. So 1 plus 2, we are, if we count ocean, like marine biodiversity and land biodiversity, then we are number 1. That is like amazing, right? It's only 1.3% of the world's surface is like where Indonesia is, but it's the richest biodiversity in the world. How many people know this? Most of you are Indonesian. How many people know? I bet don't know. I mean, even the school children in Indonesia don't know about this. So, but this is the reality. So I'm just going to show this picture. So what is this? Garbage. This one? Ocean garbage, also plastic in the ocean. And this one? More garbage. And this one, deforestation. And more deforestation and floods. And this is very familiar with us here in LA. Yes, the fire. So these are all the current environmental problems that we face in the world today. So it's like no matter where we live, in United States, in global south, global north, wherever, it's just a matter of different degrees. Some are like very bad and some are, lighter, but also based on like what kind of like capacity in your government. Like poor country cannot, deal with like, big floods or fires. Even like here, we just, witness it last month. This is in United States. Even they couldn't handle the fire because the nature is a factor. Is even like, if we talk about climate change, I don't want to go to the climate change yet, but that is the reality right now, whether we like it or not, whether you believe it or not, So it's there. And then as we speak right now, the Midwest and the East Coast is blasting with two front of storm. One is from us because we just have rain. So blasting to the northeast is the rain, but then from the Atlantic they got the freezing ice. So can you imagine? Like we are very fortunate here in California. We don't have that very extreme weather. And besides that, we just get off from this global pandemic. And this global pandemic is actually related to the condition of our Earth right now. But then if we looked up in the Quran, Allah already mentioned about this fasad al-bari wal-bahri. So in the land and the sea, we human make the corruption, like destroying, as I just showed the picture, like garbage, plastic garbage on the ocean, cutting the forests, and more floods, more fires happening. So this ayat, we, as the Muslim activists, we call this ayat as the climate change ayat. Because if you see, I don't know if you can see on the bottom, the green one is the global warming, the definition of what is anthropogenic. So the greenhouse gases. I'm not going to go into that because it's a little bit scientific. So we need like other session for that. So that is actually the definition because of human activities, which is, in the Quran already been mentioned. So it's there. Allah already warned us. So if we see this, like, all this destruction and everything that happened, so can we say that ecological degradation, the destruction to environment and climate change is actually a spiritual crisis, a moral crisis? What do you think? Do you agree with that? Yeah, so we'll see. Is that really? So then also in the Quran, Allah asks, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are we going? Where are we going as an ummah? Yeah? It's as an ummah, not like individually, but as an ummah. An ummah meaning like the whole humanity, because the whole humanity is the ummah of Muhammad, right? Whether sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whether they believe in our prophet or not, they are the ummah of Muhammad. So where are we going? So as we speak right now, our humanity is in the crossroads. Whether the pandemic that we just passed, just come out of it, and then there's the scholar said that's going to be economic recession. I think like we are in the economic recession at this moment, and then this climate crisis is going to get worse and worse and worse, and then the last one that we are very afraid if it's happened, like the ecological collapse, because when the environmental like destroyed and it cannot go back, so then the future generation maybe cannot find cannot eat sushi anymore. Who likes sushi? Oh, many people. See, the thing is sushi. You need fish, you need seafood. But then the future, probably with ecological collapse, the fish cannot spawn anymore, cannot have eggs. So then there's no more fish, or the water is too polluted, or too hot, or too cold. So, and then also other things, maybe like the future generation don't even like they have to wear masks for oxygen. They cannot just walk around like us now. So a lot of things is going to change if the ecology is collapsed. So we are trying to hold it so that we're not going onto that direction. So why do we care about that as Muslims? So what does Islam say about protecting the environment? Is that our responsibility as Muslim? Yes? Why? So is that yes? Well, the Prophet said that the whole earth is a masjid, meaning that we can make sujood on it. So as Muslim, we don't have to go to the masjid to pray, right? To make salat. We can make salat anywhere as long as there's no, as clean, no najis, and so on and so forth. But that's the thing. That means the whole earth is a masjid. So how do we take care of our masjid? Clean and nice and neat and smells good, right? So if the earth is masjid, should we take care of the earth also? Of course, right? So yes, so this is what we need to keep in mind. The whole earth is a masjid. And as Muslim, we, if we go back to like the first ayat that revealed to our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq, to read, right? We know, like as Indonesian, like, oh, what is Iqra means? To read, right? Ada Imam Anas in here. So Iqra means to read. But what do we read? Quran, of course. And what else? The sign in nature. So this is what us as Muslims sometimes we forget, that ayat, there's like ayat kauliyah and ayat kauniyah. So the revealed ayat, which is written ayat, that revealed ayat to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also the sign in nature. Nature itself is the proof of Allah. So then it's also an ayat. So I sometimes I post this question to people. Imagine if I, for example, said that I'm going to erase one ayat in the Quran and I post it in social media, what's going to happen? A lot of haters, right? All those things, like just look at like the people who's like trying to burn Quran. So like what we say, like, okay, I'm going to erase one ayat from the Quran, one verse, and then that's going to be like a lot of enrage. But then what's happening right now? There's a lot of species is erased from the face of the planet. That's it. Extinct. So that is also ayat of Allah. But where is the enrage? How come we're not angry? That's like erasing ayat of Allah from the face of this planet. So we need to keep that in mind, that ayat, kauniyah and kauliyah, the Quran, and then the Quran will reflect in nature. So we should be angry that, like if the species are just extinct, like it's erased from the face of the planet because of this ecological degradation, and also the climate change, climate extreme. And I'm just going to like give this that actually like some people said like more than 700 ayat in the Quran that relate to nature and environment. Some people say like 500. My mentor said 500, more than 500. He said 500 plus. So this is the connection that we need to reconnect as Muslim, because in the history we have a very close connection on that, but somehow we have, what is that called, amnesia or like selective amnesia, so we forget that these are all related. So in terms of like the focus, we can go like in detail more, but I usually just focus on this 5 uh, kind of like category that we need to focus in ourselves to understand why is environment very important for us. So first is Tawheed, of course. Everything that we do is really like deeply rooted in Tawheed, right? The oneness of Allah. Everything is created, like, it's Allah made everything, and Allah is the one who actually placed human being on the earth. So everything we need to make sure that we are like all what we do is rooted in Tawheed, that we glorify Allah because this is His creation. And then, as Imam Anas mentioned, as the Khalifa, we are the Khalifa upon this earth. We are the manager. We are the caretaker. So a lot of people, like some people told me I cannot use the word Khalifa when I'm presenting because it's very political. But I'm like, I didn't create that. It's in the Quran. Like it's in the Quran. It says Khalifa. So the word Khalifa has been twisted by media, by, like have a political weight on it, that like, somehow if we say Khalifa and then they're like, oh, you're too political. Well, Khalifa is us to have responsibility, take care of this earth that we are placed here. And it's related to the next one. It's being the amana, because this earth is the amana from Allah to us. And we are going to be questioned in the hereafter, in front of Him, in front of Allah. So it's accountability. So we need to make sure that we are not destroying the earth, because then Allah will ask, well, I put you on earth with all the blessings. Like, what did you do? Destroy? Of course not. So like we want to keep the amana. And then the mizan in Surah Ar-Rahman, it's the balance, or so equilibrium, if we want to use like more sophisticated word, but balance, that everything that Allah created is in balance. And when we go over the balance, we go over the limit, then something's gonna happen, and the nature is only follows what Allah tells them to do. So nature is very obedient to Allah. They don't have free will like us human. We can like, oh, I don't want to salat. I don't want to make salat now. I don't want to fast in Ramadan. So what? It's my choice. But nature doesn't have that. Nature follows whatever Allah tells them to do, and when we destroy nature or going over the limit, then they're going to find their balance. In the process, they're destroying us humans. Like, flash flood, for example, like we chop all the forests, so then the water cannot retain themselves on the soil, because the trees helps to retain the water. So then, and floods happen, and then we complain like, oh, why the flood happens? Because nature just doing its work, So that's the thing. That's the balance. Mizan is very important. And then, of course, the last one is fitra. As human, we have the fitra, and then our fitra is actually good, not to, like we are, born good, but then other things makes us bad. So we need to kind of like, get rid of those other things, the bad things, and then go back to our fitra, so then we can live like in harmony with nature. So those are like, like just keep those in mind, the 5 things, and you can just, think about it like Tawhid, Khalifa, Amana, Mizan, and Fitra. And very easy, right? It's not like rocket science. Like as Muslim, we are already hear those things a lot in our life. So knowing that, then what should we do? What should I do as a person, as a community? What should we do? And then we will relate this with Ramadan, inshallah. So first, inner transformation, personal change. Niyat, right? Niyah. Everything is based on niyah. All the action, all what we do is based on niyah. So make sure when we want to do something good, like Imam Anas mentioned, like, trying to do the green Ramadan by using not disposable item. So Bismillah, make a niyat that I do this for the sake of Allah. So then you get the barakah on that, right? Dapat pahala. Rather than just, I just want to be green, cool. So yeah, so niyat is first and foremost. And then we we saw the picture, the ways, right? So beware of ways. Because in Surah Al-Isra also it talks about al-mubazirun, the wasters, the one that like waste. Allah doesn't like them, and it's actually the brothers of Shaitan. It's called like as the brother of Shaitan, and we don't want to be the brother of Shaitan. So, and I like this picture. I don't even know where I found it. It's already a long time ago, because when you looked up on Earth, there is no way out if we have waste. We can like what's happening now. The developed world, the North, the global North is like either like throwing their garbage to the ocean, or they're throwing it to the poor countries. But it's still on Earth. It's not in Mars. Well, unless Elon Musk is going to take our garbage to Mars, that's a different issue. But looking out from outside, everything it stays on Earth. So no matter where, it's still on Earth. It's going to be in our ocean. Somehow we're going to be affected. Maybe not directly, but it will. And then also these things. So we live in the United States. So the United States is only 5% of the world population, but produces 30% of the waste in the world. Right? Juara, like number 1. And then water bottle, I'm a little bit like, we cannot use this anymore. Not I'm saying like, you have to like get rid. So we need to like reduce. Maybe like, like we talk about this, like, how maybe we can have like the gallon, the machine gallon, if not, installing like, like the water fountain, or like, for like bottle refill. So it's, like try to reduce the water bottle in the plastic, because the plastic is the problem. And also like the amount of bubble wraps. I always also like purchasing online stuff. Sometimes they send me just little thing, and then they're wrapped with the whole like bubble wrap. I don't understand that. Why do you have to do that? So it's like, that's also like, like if all the bubble wrap in the United States like pulled together, it can be wrapped around the equator of the Earth 10 times. Wow. Also, like, a lot of like plastic bottles, and also like disposable cups. Like, in the US is always number one on that, because it's a lot of waste that happens in these countries. It's like it's part of the culture, like to waste. But as Muslim, we need to do better, because we should be the example, the best example to other people. So what can you do? Like, maybe try to refuse some stuff. So in Ramadan, can we fast? So can we fast from plastic water bottle when we have iftar, or like, other plastic things? So in Indonesia, they have this. The youth have these things what called puasa plastic. Yes, dia punya puasa plastic. So they use that words like, like puasa, fasting from plastics. So, like trying to do like our best. And then like also like this, like, the disposable item, like, like for food, and then using like styrofoam. Styrofoam should be just like, eliminated. And in here, don't use styrofoam, huh? Do we use styrofoam? Still? So I suggest, like, make a big poster, or like the youth can create whatever, like, like a cool thing. Styrofoam should be haram. Styrofoam should be not allowed in the masjid, like, so because it's the styrofoam, cannot, like it's non-biodegradable. So after we die, the styrofoam is still there. So we don't want to leave that kind of thing. And also, like, I'm not sure if you can see, but maybe like it's too bright. Yeah. So these are items that, how long does it take to uh, biodegradable, for example, plastic cups, plastic plates, and so on and so forth, or like other things that is like, that has a plastic on it. So it takes a long time. Some is like 400 years. 400 years. So human life is probably what, 70, 80 years old. And then when we die, as after 300 years we die, it's still there, our garbage. So we don't want that, obviously, because as Muslim, we only live 3 things when we die, not garbage. It's not included. So, and this simple thing, like, bring the water bottle, your own water bottle. So, we have this issue, like, in different communities also, like, they say, oh, we cannot tell people not to donate in Ramadan. They want to get barakah, and then they donate like plastic water bottle. Then probably the masjid should say like, oh, we are welcome if you want to donate, but maybe if you can donate like the gallon or the gallon machine. So, instead of like creating another problem for the earth. So, and explain it, so that, I'm sure people will be like, like, more than welcome to get that ideas. But because, like, if we don't say anything, then they don't understand. And then, the repercussion that, as I showed the first pictures, in the beginning, that, all this garbage is out there, and then it's destroying our earth, because like, for example, the plastic that goes to the water, the, like, what is that, the turtle, they think that's like, like algae or something, and they eat it, and then they eat the plastic, or like they entangle on that, like, like, so it's a lot of like, and fish also, like, microplastic is a big thing now. They eat the microplastic, the fish, and then we eat the fish in our sushi, and we eat our own microplastic. So scary. Yeah. So that's why like all these diseases like coming up. And this one also, like, I talked with Batobib. I asked, does the masjid have the segregation of the waste? So why is it important? So, for example, but I think like the masjid already have like recycle and waste, right? So recycle and waste. And we are very fortunate. We live in California, which is like, already by design, the municipalities already support the waste segregation. Because in other states, they don't have that. So it's very hard. And in Indonesia, it's even, there's no such a thing. But because there's no such a thing, there's a creativity. So what happened in Indonesia, we created what we call sedekah sampah. Sedekah, waste sedekah. So what happened is like the recycles, because there's no segregation of waste. So everybody's like collecting their water bottle or anything plastic, and they bring it to the masjid, and the masjid, like collect all of them and then sell to the recycling center, and the money is for the masjid. So we launched this program 3 years ago or 4 years ago with MUI, with the Majelis Ulama Indonesia. So it was like, a lot of people like, huh? How do you make sadaqah with your waste? So waste for us, but it's probably, like it's benefit for others. So like we never know. And then another one is beware of consumption. And in Ramadan, we always see that lapar mata, like when you Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, azan maghrib, like, like all the food, especially Indonesian community, I know like food is like end to end. Even my husband said, oh, they have soto, they have baso, they have soup, like what? Which one are we going to eat? Yeah, and then everybody wants to eat everything, but then we don't realize we are fasting. So our stomach is, like shrink. So we cannot even like eat a lot when we break our fast. But then we already took them and ended up we throw them away. But then what? The Al-Mubazirun, right? The brother of Shaitan. So we don't want that. So this one is in the hadith. I don't quote the right hadith, but the Prophet said, like, like when we eat, we like the Bani Adam, when to stand, we only need like 1/3 of food in our stomach, 1/3 of water, and 1/3 we leave it for air. Bapak, Ibu, adik-adik, have you eaten like so much that you cannot even breathe? Right? Because we don't give the space for the air. That's the thing. That's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Sepertiga. So be mindful when we eat our iftar. And remember, our stomach is already shrink. So, and also another thing that I'm, this is like still struggling, like in the United States especially, to consume local and seasonal. Because here we have everything from every part of the world in any season. But there is a repercussion. Actually, food travels, right? From one place to another place. And then how do they travel? Use, like fuels. And then these fuels is contributing to the carbon emissions. So our food looks like it's cheap, but it's not so cheap. Actually, if we added everything, and also like, how do we clear up the air? But in our food, it's not included. So that's what Anas mentioned that about green economy. That's what I was part of, trying to explain to people, like when we buy something, what is the price on it? It's not just what we pay. There is other prices, hidden price, that maybe our children, our grandchildren is going to, face the consequences. So we don't want that. And this is the waste, the food waste. So food waste, I think number 1 now in the world Saudi Arabia, and Indonesia number 2 or number 3, if I'm not mistaken. So food waste. And amazingly, in Ramadan, have like more food waste than any other time in the year. Because of that, what I was explaining, lapar mata, we want to eat everything because I just break my fast, but then I cannot eat it and then throw away. We don't want that. Because why is it important? Because food waste is creating the methane gas, and methane gas is more dangerous even from compared to carbon dioxide. So I would suggest to do compost. So ibu, I'm not sure if anybody like doing compost. So compost is anything that we can eat, like peel, banana peel, chop from our vegetables and like all those things that actually we can do composting that to reduce, so then we prevent them to become to produce methane gas, which is bad for human health. And also the compost is good for, if you like gardening, planting, good for your soil. So this is just like example of how the compost work, but you can go to YouTube. There's so many ways to do composting and all different kind of things, small thing, big things. You live in an apartment, you live in a house, like big communities, small communities, all kind. But so I mentioned also, like, if we can have a bin for this kind of compost, maybe not compost, but just all the organic matters in one bin here in the masjid. Because I think, like, I'm not sure, in LA you have 3 or 4 garbage bin. 3, right? Yeah, I think standard California 3, right? The green, the blue, and the gray, right? The black, or so the green, you can put it in the green. Like we do at our homes, we have like a little simple composter. So we do it on our backyard. So then like the compost goes to our plants. You can do that if you have space, but I mean, like, if not, then we can just put it in the green bin for the for the city. But in here, I think like there's like some plants, that you can actually feed the compost to the soil, if you are interested on that. But otherwise, we're trying to minimize the methane gas. And again, this is the niyat. So the niyat is to do this for the sake of Allah, to take care of Allah's earth. So it's not just, to be cool. So, all right. Next thing is the water usage and our usage, because we are in the world is still in water crisis. So more than 800 million people still don't have drinking water in the world, and 1 every 10 people. That's 1 every 10 people in this planet. And then in a lot of countries, women and girls have to walk so far just to get 1 bucket of water. So because of this water crisis, so we have to be mindful. And then we live in California, so we have to be mindful on water anyway. Even though we just get the rain, alhamdulillah, but the rain is only 2 days, and then we have the dry season for 9 months, 10 months. So that's not really like helping. So beware of the water. So, and as Muslim, we use water a lot because we have to make wudu before we pray. And so I call this like eco wudu, but actually it's not eco wudu. It's actually the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he doesn't allow to waste, like israf, right? I think probably everybody already know the stories, right? Like one Sahaba, I forgot what his name, the one who makes the wudu and, just sort of like using a lot of water. Sometimes I do too. It's like sometimes when I make wudu, because in Indonesia, when we make wudu, it's like our clothes also make wudu. Everything is wet, like, but then when the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, lived in the desert, and it's very mindful with water. So we like, like, so he said, don't waste water even when you make wudu. So if make wudu for, like, as the requirement before we make salat, so how about for other things? Of course we cannot waste water. So that's, like, that's I put the YouTube, I don't know, like, maybe like later I can share this. There's like, a simple thing, like, but there's like some other sheikh also, like, showing how the Prophet make wudu. That's like the eco wudu. He's our green prophet. Like, we call it, like, our prophet is the greenest person on earth. Yeah. So it's like, because even make wudu is very little water. And this is if we want to go like, sophisticated. Like, this is like when we talk about the green, like, building green masjid from the ground, right? So people building it. So one of our team in the green initiative in ISNA is an architect, and she's a woman, and she just built one, I think in Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, a green masjid from a scratch. So from the ground. So if you build from like, you build it, you buy the land and then build it from a scratch, then maybe, like, this is one of the idea to collect the rainwater. So then, like, so make sure that we always have it. So looking at this, actually, I remember my father, we had this in Jakarta in our backyard. This is like a long time ago. I didn't even know, like, why he did that. I said, like, why have, like, build this kind of, like, preserving water? I remember what he said. Oh, because I want to make sure, like, the future generation never, like, running out of water. So we put the water back to the soil. And I thought he was like, huh? Why? But then when I studied, then I figured, like, wow, he was right. Even though I'm not sure if he was aware of that, but this is one of the thing, if in the green building is water preservation, we can do this. And the easiest one is the sensory faucet. I see, like, the wudu station already have sensory faucet, yeah. And then the other one is the wastewater garden. So that's another thing, like collecting the water, not just the rainwater, but the gray water. Like, for example, water from wudu, water from cuci, washing stuff. That's gray. Kalau toilet, that's black water. Gray water, that is already used, but it's not so bad. So it can be, like, processed and can be used for watering the plants, the garden. So in Aceh, when I was doing the reconstruction after tsunami, we did that in villages. So one garden village, so all the gray water is all pulled on one pool, and then it's being processed with a certain plants. They becoming, like, clean, and then, like, then watering the garden around so one village, one like, one kind of wastewater like, like, system. And in Thailand also, after the tsunami, we put that also. So it's amazing. So I don't know yet any masjid already done this in the modern time. So, but yeah, but that's like one of the idea. What I do at home, I collect all the waters. Like, like, if you wash your vegetable, ibu-ibu, yeah, especially vegetable, your meat, whatever, it to collect, and then, like, you can use that for watering plants or flowers. Or that's like my mom. My mom always do that since I was a little, and she loves orchid anggrek, and all the orchid always have a lot of flowers, and people ask, what did you put on it? She said, no, just, like, I wash the rice, and rice water wash like you use and then like meat, right? Air daging, cuci daging, and then just water the plants with that. So it's a lot of nutrition. For us, that's waste, but for others, it's not. So that's always like waste, but it's not always waste. So we need to be mindful on that. And of course, like gardening, planting is part of the proud Muslim tradition. It's part of our heritage. It's part of our architecture. If we see like all Muslim architecture throughout history, it's always like beautiful garden with fountain, with a lot of like beautiful. So can somebody guess on the left, on the bottom left, where is that? Anybody? Rita Karaja maybe knows. Ayo. On the left, on the bottom left. Topkapi Palace in Istanbul. Yeah. And then in the middle, Alhambra. Beautiful Alhambra. And then on the left bottom is in Morocco, in Marrakesh. So it's just like some example, but I have a bunch of pictures like in Iran, in like it's amazing, and that's part of our heritage. And as Indonesian, we like to have like gardening, kebun kecil, like like having what is that, like vegetable garden, small vegetable garden, or medicinal. Like my mother also have medicinal garden. Apotek ya, kebun apotek. So everything like like just take from the garden for like whatever, rebus ini, rebus itu, sakit ini, sakit itu. That's the thing, like so. But I never thought about it. I thought everybody's just like that until I wasn't there anymore. So that's like I also like take everything for granted. I never thought about it until I don't have it anymore. So that's what I mean. Like we need to revive that. And this is also a famous hadith about if tomorrow is Yaumul Qiyamah and we have seedling in our hands, we must plant it. So I have a story with this hadith. So, and this picture, the two on the left and on the right, is both from Aceh. One is with the youth, one is with the Panglima Laot, the community in the coastal area. So when I was in Aceh, I was working with WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, and then we wanted to do like with community to do the regreening in the coastal area, because after the tsunami, everything so damaged, right? So here my program already have all like hundreds and hundreds of seedlings. So we said, okay, let's plant it, right, in the coastal area. And I thought, because I said, oh, this is good, this is for sustainability, it's to protect your village. And everybody just like, huh, what? Nobody wanted to do anything. And they said like, no, we don't want planting. Why do you ask us to do planting? We lost our family. We lost our homes. We need homes, not plants. And I was very, frustasi, right? Frustasi. And then like, in the midst of my frustration, my friend suggested, why don't you engage from the Islamic tradition? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like talking about sustainability. She said, yeah, from the Islamic tradition. I said like, what? So I know like in Aceh, they're very devout Muslim. So I want my program to be successful. So I said, okay, what do I have to lose? Okay, I just look in the Quran and the Sunnah, and I found what I just presented earlier. So many ayat, so many tradition, yeah, so many Sunnah. And I said, how come we don't use this as our foundation to do sustainability? So the next time I came to the community with all the seedlings, and I mentioned about this hadith. And guess what is the reaction? What's the reaction? They said, well, where's the seedling? So suddenly they want to plan because they said, oh yeah, that's it's if the prophet say that, then we'll do it. So it's no longer Nana Firman. So the prophet said it. See? And it's like I was like, subhanallah, why did we like do this? There's so many, that's why I'm like, got hooked on that. And this is another one famous hadith. If we plant trees or plants and it's considered sadaqah if anyone benefiting from that. And when we say like benefiting, we always think about humans. Like, okay, ini kan orange tree, right? So who's eating the orange? The human. Oh yeah, I'm benefiting my neighbors, my family, people in the masjid. But how about the insects? How about the birds? How about the worm on the bottom of the tree and everything else? So when they actually eat from what we plant, it's called sadaqah, to them. So it's considered sadaqah. So whoever like plant trees or plant, you have like, what is that, like investment for the future. I mean, for the not for the future, but for the next life, right? So that's what it is. It's not a rocket science to do that. And I just put here, if anyone here, I'm not sure in LA, like how the community garden is doing. I'm not even sure in this location if there's community garden. If there is one, maybe Masjid can, work also with the community garden in the area. So then, it's good because when people gardening, there's a relationship building. And lastly is these things. Beware of energy use. Again, why? Because, as we mentioned, the US is only 5% of the world's population, but it consumes 16% of the world's energy and wastes, out of that 16%, wastes 67 of that. So I don't want to show the graphic, like usually if it's like more like technical, I'll show the graphic, but it's like waste. So we need to be mindful on the energy that we use, like the electricity, for example. So also like this hadith I found, my director actually in WWF found this hadith because we were doing the campaign for energy savings. And he said, hey, the prophet said, before you go to sleep, like turn off your lights or lamps or candles. And wow, that's energy efficiency. Turn off, unplug, switch off. And of course, if we can use like renewable energy, it's better. But also like lights, the bulb is mostly like nowadays we have like energy savings. And eventually, if we want to go like further, inshaAllah, the masjid can go for a solar panel. So I was actually going to suggest that because in ISNA we have a collaboration with EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and they have this program for solar panel, I think solar energy for house of worship. But now EPA is closed because the new president closed it. So I'm sorry, I cannot offer this. Otherwise, that's like one of the things that we always offer, connect masjid to the EPA program. So how do we change that? To change everything, it takes everyone. So every one of us, needs to be part of that because we need a big number so to have a collective impact. And in just 2 weeks, we're going to welcome the month of Ramadan. So, and Bismillah, this masjid is going green, right? So, inshallah, and then don't forget, people here bringing their own iftar kit. Yeah, so I call it green iftar kit. This is just like my picture from like, I don't know, like 13 years ago. But like, don't forget. And so how do you do it here? Like, do you have a reminder? Like, and then like, I mean, like, you use like WhatsApp or something. Oh, don't forget. Oh, yeah. So like, use everything, like, like, to remind, because sometimes people forget. And or if people, like, most people have a car, right? Like, just put it in your like, trunk. Like, I was just telling Bantu that we have full of containers on our trunk, because when we go to the restaurant, we didn't finish the thing, like, the food, we put it in our container. Or if we want to take waste, we use that. So we always have that in our trunk, because that's like, anyways, it's in our car. Like, people who have car, like, why don't you just put it? It's your own car. So, that's easy. So at least you're, like, reducing like the waste, the amount of waste, like, just from that, because you're going to eat it. And take this Ramadan to learn more and to connect more to the earth, as the ayat of Allah also. So this book was written by my dear friend who just passed away about a year and a half ago, here in Pasadena, but he's originally from New York. And so please, like, like, I have the Bahasa Indonesia version that I'm going to give for the masjid here. So for the English, I told Imam Anas, you have to buy it yourself, because it's easy. But why Bahasa Indonesia? Because for the Indonesian masjid, I bought several of them. So because they don't publish it anymore in Bahasa. So the publisher already closed who published this. And when we talk with the late Ibrahim, Allah yarham, that time we were going to talk about to take over the the publication right for Indonesia. That is like one of our conversation, and he and his wife and his kids were supposed to come to our house close to Lake Paris, but Allah loved him more. Just a week before he came, he passed away. So yeah, so I still have a bunch of this at home, because the last one, my sister saw it online several years ago, only 15 left, and then I told her buy all of them, because it's no longer available. So I'm going to give this for the masjid, for the library in the masjid, because it's in the Bahasa, but in English it's still, you can still buy it, like, online. There's a lot of them. So and we are towards the end of my talk today. So remember that Ramadan is the time to empty our stomach and to feed our soul. So all of the things that we're going to do by greening our Ramadan practice is to also feed our soul in reconnecting ourselves to the creation of Allah, to nature. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
You talk thing that's very wonderful about printing. Unfortunately, our president removed all the print initiative that done by the previous government. So, what should we do to?
Yeah. Okay, Pat. Thank you for this important question. So, this isn't the first time it happened. It happened before, and I was on the forefront on that issue as well. So what happened is, what is being closed or stopped is in the federal levels. So it doesn't mean that we as community cannot do anything, because we still have the masjid. we still go like to the masjid. We still have like, Ramadan together and iftar. So we do it within our level. It's not going to impact whether the federal government is going to close the program or not, because we're doing it ourselves. Except those things that I wanted to, connect the EPA. So, but he cannot close the EPA forever. It's just for temporary, because it's not going to it's kind of bizarre if a country doesn't have EPA or equal, the Environmental Protection Agency. So in the meantime, we still need to do our things, because we are accountable to Allah. It's not to the President of the United States. So we need to keep that in mind. We are accountable to Allah, and as a community, we need each other to and support each other. That's why I asked, is there any announcement, reminder? How do you tell people don't forget to bring your own iftar kit or your container? Because I remember in Masjid San Bernardino, Masjid At-Thohir, Ibu Kunil. Ibu Kunil is the one who's announcing to everyone, around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, she will blast it in the message. She said, "Oh, don't forget, go green, go green. We go green." And because she's the, the old lady, everybody's trying to, not to kind of go, against her and out of respect. So everybody maybe in the beginning, oh yeah, I will do it. But, a lot of people said, oh, it's too much. It's too this, to that. But after a week, they said, oh, it's not, it's becoming habits. 2 weeks, becoming habits, right? It's now it's oh, it's easy. Why didn't we do it before? And then when they see the waste, the garbage, yeah. Kan kalau Ramadan is a mountain of garbage in masjids. Every masjid. Because of the disposable items for iftar. Okay, for example, one person, break the fast, okay, drink 1 cup, throw it away. Okay, Salat Maghrib. After Salat Maghrib, eating, okay, another cup, throw away. And then Tarawih. Oh yeah, I'm thirsty. Another cup. One night, you can throw 3, 4, 5 cups. And then how many people in the masjid? Okay, 100. 2 times that 100. And then how many masjid in one city? So, and then that's why the Ramadan, that's why I put that. Ramadan is the time to empty your stomach, but feed your soul. So it's that thing, so we need to kind of have a deeper meaning of Ramadan by doing greening our Ramadan. So it's not just to go green, to be cool. No, this is part of our jihad, yeah, to do better. That's why first I mentioned is niyat. The niyat is to for the sake of Allah, to please Allah. It's not to be cool. The cool thing is going to come afterwards anyway, but yeah. So to answer your question, Pak, don't worry. He can, chop whatever, but we still have our community. We can still do whatever we in our level. We don't need federal government. Oh, do the green Ramadan. They're not going to do that. We will do it. We will show that we are committed. Yeah. So inshaAllah. Yeah, there's a different one. So there's plastic that is not. What is that called? The one that doesn't have. What is that? B BHP or something that is not. Yeah. So you have to look up on that. I mean, I don't know, by brand, but we will have in ISNA website some references that people can. So go to ISNA website on the Green Initiative. We have a lot of information there, and also so if the Masjid Taqwa also, Masjid Thohir also going to join another Green Ramadan this year, inshallah. So we will open the registration, I think, like a week before Ramadan. And there's like, so what we call is the rubric. So the rubric I didn't show in here, but rubric you can download because we are revising from last year. So the rubric is what we do. We try to, like, for example, like we're not using styrofoam. How many, we're trying to like enumeration of the our act. It's not like we are, of course we're going to ask Allah for the barakah, right? But we are trying to calculate like what is like the barakah to just to make people like exciting to do it. So the total of the barakah is 99 points from the 99 names of Allah. So and every deeds and every activity that we do, there's a point. And when you calculate the point at the end after Eid, you send it to the ISNA Green Initiative, and then we will have a jury to look over it. And then I think like Fana, were you involved last year, right? Were you involved of the Green Ramadan here to ISNA? Who's submitting to ISNA like last year? Yeah. So because I saw like like yeah. Yes, yeah. So inshallah, if this year like again do it, and that's like like a good thing because everybody because fastabiqul khairat, right, to like compete in goodness. So this is like we're competing in goodness, not to show off, but like but this is a good thing, and so yeah, inshallah, like we'll do better this year, inshallah. And please don't get overwhelmed because I mentioned a lot, right? But just so what I suggest is like this for a person, like individual or in family at home. We make a commitment, a niyyah, right? What do we want to do this Ramadan? Do it like with your children, like like in at home. For example, if we want to reduce food waste, then we do it as everybody, like do it at home and also in the masjid. We do it together, so we don't have to do the whole thing that I mentioned, but choose one or two that we are able to do it, and then but be consistent and remind each other. Yeah, nasiha, like remind each other. That's the most important thing. That way we learn from each other too.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillah, last year is our pilot project in the Green Ramadan. Yes, we don't remove all the styrofoam, all the plastic, but we do reduce it.
Yes.
Last year, we used plates only that we use from styrofoam already become the reusable. Basically.
Yes, yeah.
So alhamdulillah, we can reduce.
Yeah.
In 1 month, maybe thousand, plates.
Yes, inshallah.
So this year, hopefully, you can add like, if everyone can bring the reuse bottled water, so we will reduce like Sister Nana Firman mentioned, maybe 8% to away 4, 5
Yes,
cups, right? If let's say a day we have 100, 4, 5 cups and 400 cups.
Yeah.
Not only, make the dirty of the environment, but, we save little money of that.
Right.
So hopefully, this Ramadan we can do better from last year. The coordinator for Green Ramadan is Ibu Taufik, inshallah. She needs some volunteers to help her run the program. Yes, they do some complaint last year. Oh, how come Masjid At-Thohir is so stingy? You don't give even plate to us. It's okay, right?
That's why. Oh, I forgot about one more thing I didn't mention: the green khutbah. So that's Imam Anas, like or other imams, like or other khatib here. Can every night in Ramadan, like during the Tarawih, we have like a little like like bayan, right, or something like that. So like that needs to be mentioned also. These things that I mentioned today, in maybe once a week, a topic is about green, about environment, our responsibility, because that's how people can connect. Because if they never hear it, then they're like, huh, why it's stingy, you know, like. But then when they hear it, oh, that's right, you know, like that's why we need to do that. It's not because of stingy. So that's yeah. I forgot about mention about green khutbah. It's part of the green Ramadan to have this topic as part of the khutbah or the ceramah, like like the talk in between salatul tarawih. So people are like familiar with that from the Islamic teaching. This is not just, of course, we see like all the green things, right? Like go green and everything out there, but actually we have it in our own tradition, from the Islamic tradition and from the history. So we don't need to go far. Yeah, inshallah.